Hey everybody, Mr. Gardner here. Since we're in this time of COVID, I wanted to demonstrate to you how to change a string. My G string broke yesterday. I think it was just change in temperature because I opened up the case yesterday to find that it had broken, and it's not snapped in half, but you might be able to see up here it's sort of stretched out and got broken right there. So I can't tune it, and if I keep turning it, it will snap into two pieces. So I have to replace it. So it's okay because I have extra strings. I tend to collect them because, whenever I get a few extra dollars, I'll invest in some extra strings because you never know when you're going to need it. I probably don't have to buy any for a little while because I've got a good bit here. But the good thing is I have one to change it, and I don't have to go out to a store. I can just grab my string and change it. So I do recommend that you get some extra strings for your instrument because that will help you. But anyways, I wanted to show you how to do it. So first thing I'm going to do, it's the G. So I'm just going to select a G here. I'm going to try these strings today. These are Vision Tomastic Dominant. Probably what I'll do, since I like to have a kind of a complete set, is I'll change all my strings. These strings have been on here probably for about 7 months or so. I haven't been playing a whole lot because all of my orchestras are basically shut down right now. But I am starting to get a couple wedding gigs and things like that where I have to perform in front of people. So I'll probably go ahead and change all the strings eventually, but for today I'll just go ahead and change the G string. But just so you know, I will put on a complete set so that they all match. Probably doesn't matter that much, but if you're going to put a new string on and the other ones are old, you might as well put all new strings on so that you have a fresh set. It's kind of like wearing socks. You wouldn't just put on one clean sock, you'd put on both pairs of clean socks. So that's kind of a weird analogy, but anyways, that's my analogy. So I've got my G string here. I'll kind of set that here just for a second. First thing we have to do is take off the old string. So what I'm going to do, I don't have fine tuners. I don't know if you can see that. Mine kind of comes through this hole here. I don't have a fine tuner for the G. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen this from the peg. So I just kind of loosen the peg. It's already broken. I don't have to worry about breaking it. And loosening it wouldn't break it. You can see there how it's got stretched thin. That's where it sort of broke. So, but anyways, I can pull this out now. It comes out. And then for mine, I just sort of slide it out here. I'll have to slide it out of the hole like this. So now the string's off there. I can put that aside. I'll want to throw it away. And then I just kind of inspect everything, make sure everything looks good, that the peg didn't get broken or something. Looks fine. Notice there's a hole in the peg. Hopefully you can see that. There's a hole in the peg. That's where the string will go through. So I want to make sure that I kind of know where that is. Okay, so I take out my new string. Hopefully it looks nice and hasn't gotten rusty or something. Sometimes if these things get in like a humid environment, the string itself can get a little bit of rust on it if there's moisture in the package. So I always just inspect it just to make sure it looks good. Looks good. Okay. And since I'm only changing one, and you should only ever change one string at a time. Don't take them all off at the same time. Just take one off at a time and replace that one. That way you don't get them confused, okay? But I knew this one was the G because it said G on the package. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this string, and from underneath, since I don't have fine tuners, I'm going to have to put it through that hole, the peg end. So let me do that. I'm going to bend this a little bit so I can get it through that hole a little bit better. I don't know if you can see this, but I'll show you in just a second. Okay. So once it's through that hole, I just kind of pull it up, just like I took the other one out. And I want to make sure that that ball end is in that little groove there. Now, if you have fine tuners, you'll just put the ball end through the groove of the fine tuner. But for me, I just put it through the hole there. So now what I want to do is I find that peg hole. I don't know if you can see it there in the peg box. And I want to put this in that hole. So I put it in, slide it through, kind of like threading a needle. And I only want to have it stick through maybe about 1/2 inch. Again, I don't know if you can see this, but I'll hold it up. Maybe you can see that it's only sticking through about 1/2 inch. And then holding the string so it doesn't get like all crooked or wrapped around, I turn this peg. If I'm looking at it, I turn it away from me, and that will wind the string over the top of the peg. And so I just tune it until this I turn it until this becomes tight. I'd want to try to keep the threads closest to the peg so that I don't have them getting in the way of my pushing the peg in to keep it stable. Make sure everything's lined up here. Once it's, generally tight, then I have it on, okay? Now, it's not in tune, obviously, so I'm going to want to tune that. You would use the same process you would use for any string that you want to tune. You want to go carefully, have a reference pitch, that sort of thing. So, let me grab my phone. Here's my phone. I'm going to put on a reference pitch real quick so that you can see that. Should have had that ready. This is my first how to change a string video, so next time I will have my phone ready. But anyways, let me open this up if I can find the apps. Whenever I add a new app, I always have trouble finding my old app, so I think it's here. Let's see. Okay, yep, so here's my tuner app. I'm going to open it up. I'm going to get to the G, because I'm tuning the G. That's too high. It's also an A. Sorry, I hit the wrong one. Hang on, that might not be too high. Let's try the G. Still too high, so let's go down one. Alright, so there's the G. That's what I want it to sound like. So listening to that, I turn the peg because it's way too low now. And there it is. Once it's in, I kind of push it in. Now the thing about a new string is that it's going to stretch for a while. So even though it's in tune now, actually it already went out of tune because it's stretching. So I'm going to have to stretch it up a little higher. And it's just going to keep going out of tune. So the one thing I like to do is I'll usually change my strings like at night. If I have to change a string, I'll change it at night before I go to bed. And then what I'll do is without breaking it again, I'll turn it so it's a little too high. You can go a little bit beyond where it's supposed to be, especially when they're new. So now it's too high, but over the night while I'm sleeping, it will sort of stretch out and become closer to in tune. So anyways, once that's on, you're all set. And that is how you change a string. So if you break one during this time of global pandemic and unrest, if you have a string at home, you do not need to add to your stress by, oh, my string broke. Just go ahead and fix it using the method I showed you here. So I hope that was helpful. Try not to break a string, but if you do, well, that's a great sound there. Hang on. If you do, you can fix it. You can always email me or try to set up a meeting and I can kind of walk you through it if this video didn't tell you everything you wanted to know. All right, so good luck, happy fixing, and